excellent student outcome, superior workplace environment, exceptional customer service and community engagement, strategic resource management.
Thank you. We will do a round robin of the board recital of the FISD core beliefs. Our FISD core beliefs are: in FISD, we believe all students feel safe and supported in a developmentally and academically challenging environment.
Families are a welcome partner in their children's education.
Faculty and staff are compassionate, dedicated, adaptability individuals who are student-centered.
Campus leadership is fair, equitable, and clearly communicates and engages with stakeholders.
Superintendent and central administration lead with integrity, transparency, and clear communication to provide a well-resourced educational environment.
Trustees provide student-centered and responsibility leadership and transparent and ethical support of stakeholders.
I will read and recite the overview of the good governance. Each month, we highlight one of our good governance indicators in the Code of Ethics that the FISD Board of Trustees follow to promote the best interests of the district as a whole. This month, the Code of Ethics, we are highlighting integrity and character. I will refuse to surrender judgment to any individual at the expense of the district as a whole. I will consistently uphold all applicable laws, rules, policies, governance, procedures. I will not disclose information that is confidential by law or that will needlessly harm the district if disclosed. Our good governance indicator for the month is written board operating procedures are in place and are reviewed and adopted on an annual basis. We will now have the recognition of the FISD Students and Teacher of the Month. Dr. Gilstrap.
Yes, I'm going to call Mr. Holden Barrett up, principal of Floresville High School. If he can go ahead and bring the students and teacher up, I'm going to take an opportunity to kind of celebrate them and their accomplishments. Mr. Barrett.
Good evening, Dr. Gilstrap, President Shad Rock School Board. One of the things, this is one of my favorite things to do, to get to present our Students of the Month. Parents, I always want to make sure that this is communicated pretty clearly. When our students receive this recognition, it is very much a family award. I say this when I present this award because we understand as a school district that we get to partner alongside you with your students, but ultimately them resulting in getting this award, it's a direct correlation to how y'all have raised them, the work ethic that you've instilled in them, and the character that you've instilled in them. The criteria that we use to select our Students of the Month, obviously it's academics and behavior, but one of the big critical pieces is their character, which includes their work ethic, how they treat people around them, and that's very much representative of what y'all have instilled in them from a very young age. So I want to reach out, thank you as well. This award is definitely, like I said, very much a family award as well. So our two Students of the Month, our first Student of the Month is Jeremiah Carvajal. He is the son of Melissa and Jeremiah Carvajal. Jeremiah is an NHS member who is still very much active. He's also been a student athlete, working freshman through junior year as a football player, maintaining excellent GPA. He likes to give back through his community. Some of the things that he's participated in as far as his community service results in him working with the Peanut Festival, helping and assist there. Also, he works our concession stand for football on Friday nights. So just kind of giving back into our school district there. Jeremiah is a part of our CTE program. He is a 4-year completer in the welding pathway and has completed his IBC to be a certified welder, which means for us we get that CCMAR point. For him, that means he walks out of here career ready. He enjoys hunting and fishing, and spending time with his family are some of the additional activities that Jeremiah reports to us. Ultimately, I get to see Jeremiah on a daily basis. He's up in our front office as one of our office helpers or office aides. Excellent work ethic, friendly, just the way that he responds, like I was mentioning earlier, the way he treats people around him, definitely a testament to his character. So very much appreciate you, Jeremiah, being represented as one of our Students of the Month.
Yes, sir.
Marizel Lucio, she is going to be our other Student of the Month, and she is the daughter of Sonia and Jose Lucio. Marizel is a part of our student council, and this will be her senior year, so she will be moving out of student council for someone else to step up into that spot. She's been there for 2 years, She was also inducted into the NHS and is still currently an active member with NHS. She as well volunteers, and she works at our concession stand on football games on Friday as well. She has her certification. She's one of those rare candidates who actually has 2 different IBCs through 2 completely different pathways. She has her ServSafe IBC, which she received through our culinary pathway, as well as her certified medical assistant through our health science pathway. So overall, just kind of showing that our CET program and our kids invested in that program, they're out there getting IBCs, and that makes me excited because that means you are definitely going to be workforce ready when you graduate. She maintained a 4.0 GPA and is currently ranked number 51 in her class. And again, one of the main things I want to point out about both of our students of the month, and this is pretty consistent every time we get to present these kids, that community service aspect. They're pouring back into the community, they're pouring back into the school. These kids are doing so much more even outside of the classroom, and to me, that's a true testament of what a student of the month is. I've done the math on it. Less than 2% of our kids at the high school annually get recognized as a student of the month. So the fact that y'all 2 are standing up here, you're in a very elite category, and very few get selected to this. So thank you. I appreciate what y'all contribute to our school, appreciate what y'all mean to our school, and it's been an honor being y'all's principal. So Ms. Troutman. Ms. Troutman's taught at Floresville High School for 4 years. She was at the high school just shortly before I left out of there. She's one of our teachers that's actually kind of a dual employed teacher here because she works in our science department, but she also works in our CTE department. She teaches our A&P classes, and she also teaches forensic science. You'll catch Ms. Troutman out in the parking lot taking your tire tracks and setting up mock crime scenes. I've caught her working on my truck a couple of times and had to wait before I take off for a meeting because they're out there getting some hands-on experience with those kids. Primarily, one of the characteristics that our kids explain Ms. Troutman as is they say that she's passionate, she's caring, and she really engages the kids. I met with my administrative staff about 3 weeks ago and told them that one of the key aspects that we look for when we hire are people who are passionate about kids, people who care about kids, and people who are excited to get to work with kids. Ms. Troutman's all of those things. I'm very thankful to have her on campus. She's one of those teachers that when you need to be lifted up, she's there for you. In fact, she was giving me gardening advice this week on how to grow an avocado tree. So outside of the school, she enjoys outdoor activities, very much into gardening. She also does some beekeeping, so might be able to get some honey from her. But overall, we're very thankful for Ms. Troutman. She's a great leader on our campus. She invests a lot into her kids and a lot into her lessons, so we very much appreciate you, Ms. Troutman.
So I'll start with Mr. Carvajal. I certainly appreciate your commitment and starting in the athletics and staying consistent, doing all your volunteer work. Definitely shows from the discipline and what you had growing up in your life and you wanting to give back for others. It's also quite commendable to be in the welding all the way through your high school career and actually come out with a CTE. That definitely shows that you've got a vision and something you're passionate about and you want to take that skill with you. And we're glad the school can provide that for you. So thank you.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Lucio, there again, I'm quite impressed with your ability of what you've done, your commitment on the student council, being a volunteer for a lot of different things, and then basically getting 2 different dual certifications, both from the culinary and the certified medical assistant. Definitely also explains that you've got a vision, you've dreamed about something, and these are the things that you felt very passionate about. And thank you for making that commitment for yourself and for the school. We appreciate that. And we wish both y'all all the well as y'all leave the Floresville Independent School District. So thank y'all for that. Ms. Troutman, quite interesting history you have there. You're not. If I'm afraid to shake your hand tonight, you're gonna lift my prints or something. I'm gonna trust you tonight. I'm gonna shake your hand, but quite interesting, and that uniqueness of what you do, both from the science and that forensic, I'm sure creates a lot of interesting questions from your students. And so I think it's that kind of teacher that kind of makes our students think outside the box. So thank you for that. So thank you for everything you do.
I know I've been there with Mr. Baird as well. I get over there to the high school, and next thing I know, I come out from a meeting, and these kids are all surrounded by my truck, and I'm like, what's the deal? And they literally said, we're trying to see if your truck was involved in the accident. What accident hear you talking about it. It was a class assignment. So I wound up going back inside for about another 35, 40 minutes. Once the kids finished up inspecting my truck. So it is truly hands-on. I know whenever I have an opportunity to meet with Ms. Troutman, she's never short for words either. She'll be glad to tell me the great things, and she'll be glad to tell me if there's any issues we need to be trying to look at. So thank you all very much for your hard work at Floresville High School. Y'all come up here and take a picture.
One, two, one more. One, two. One more.
Any others?
Loved it. He's a criminal justice major in Southwest Texas. Congratulations on all your hard work.
Next, we will have the girls and boys the powerlifting state qualifiers. Coach Martinez, will you please come up and thank you for the honors.
Y'all come on up, Coach Crowder. Thank you, Mr. Shotrock, Dr. Gilstrap, and Board of Trustees. Right here, y'all are center stage. All right. It's all about you guys today. I'm honored to be here today to talk about our powerlifting team. Another incredible year they had. I won't take too much time. I'll just say how impressed I am with how hard they work. It's a tough sport. They come in early before everybody else does. They stay late and they travel. Getting up early in the morning, getting high school kids to get up bright and early is tough to do. Coach Crowther and Coach Ramos do a great job of motivating this team and continue to build a strong tradition here with our powerlifting team. So I'll turn it over to Coach Crowther and Coach Ramos to talk about their kids.
Thank you. Thank you. Usually I can get a little long-winded on these things, and my wife's not here to hear this, but I actually listened to her once. I wrote down my thoughts, so hopefully this will go a little shorter. All right. Good evening, members of the board, members of the community, proud parents. Tonight, I truly have the honor of recognizing some outstanding young ladies who represented Floresville Powerlifting with excellence throughout the season. Not only have they medaled at every competition they've entered, but they've maintained top academic honors and actively participated in other extracurricular programs, including band and track. They are the true definition of well-rounded student athletes. Gabrielle Ernesto had an incredible season. She qualified for the regional meet where she placed second, securing her spot at state competition. Then she finished fifth in her weight class overall. Gabby is a returning veteran of the podium, and we look forward to her leadership next year as we continue to grow this powerlifting thing that we've been doing and really push for regional and state placement as a team. So Gabby, here you go. We'll get a whole picture of it. Don't worry. Sorry. Elena Merced is no stranger to high-level competition. She was crowned regional champion and went on to place third in her weight class at state. While we are very sad to see you go, we are. Her leadership is tremendous. You really can't see it. She's such a quiet person, but in the weight room, she takes charge. She really teaches up those young ones and helps them see the right way to lift weights and the right way to attack the platform. We are incredibly proud of her future plans. Elena will be enlisting in the United States Navy after graduation, and we know she will be continuing to do great things. These young women exemplify what it means to be a Floresville Jaguar. Dedicated, disciplined, and determined. Please join me in congratulating Gabrielle and Elena for their tremendous achievements. Sorry. It's all you, Coach.
I'll try to follow his example next year. Make sure I stop there. Good evening. Thank you for having us and recognizing these boys and the great work that they've been doing this season. It's one thing if they had a little bit of success by themselves, but the team that we put together, including them and the ladies, all together about 80 kids, in the program, lifting together 7 a.m. every morning, all season long. So it's been a big thing to see that kind of growth in the program from when I first got here to now, and then to see that these kids succeed and continue advance up to the top level of this program and this sport has been great things to see. So first I want to start with Lee. He's our senior. He's been lifting for me for 3 years, and slowly he's been gaining and improving and getting better at what he does and improving in his skills and getting stronger. So now this year, qualified for state at the regional meet, placing second place, hitting his automatic total plus getting second place, which is the other automatic way to make it to state, and then going on to the state meet. Now, state meet was stiff competition. We compete against everybody across 4A, and so he didn't quite get all the way up to the medal point, but he was top 12 in state, so he finished out as a top 12 strongest kid in 132 or 123. Sorry about that. And then Omar, our junior, he's returning next year for sure, and we're going to go and attack the state meet again. Same thing. He qualified for regionals and set his goal to make sure he hit that total. He hit the total at the last qualifying meet, so we knew we were ready to go for the regional meet. When we got there, it was a little bit of a tough battle. So a lot of things, bullets flying everywhere all over the place there. But, he was battled through and made sure he got those numbers that he needed, qualified for the state meet. And then at the state meet, same thing, very stiff competition, finished 11th. So top 11, top 12 in the state for his weight class at 220s. So I want to congratulate these boys and thank you for recognizing them.
I'll start with the girls. I mean, powerlifting, I have enough trouble just trying to lift up a dog. Or my great-granddaughter, and let alone the weights and stuff that you have to, the time and effort that you put in. I remember I was in the dark ages and women, they didn't do stuff like that, And that things have changed. And to see how you have structured yourself and gone to regionals and going like Gabrielle with you, the state, and 5th place, don't ever be ashamed of whatever you do, because there's a lot of competition out there. Placing up is good. Elena, the 3rd, and being the leader that you are as a senior, and again, the extra hard work that you girls, 7 a.m.'s up. I'm just not even waking up till at that point, again, eyeballs open. Now, going to the Navy, proud of you very much. My dad was in the Navy during World War II, and that's an honor, and we thank you for your service to be in serving our country. All right, boys, 7 a.m. is still hard. I had a boy that I had to almost, I had to throw water on him, everything else to get him up just for school. That was my oldest one. And Lee, 3 years in state, he was the top 12. Like I said, that's tough. You've got all these people, and they're going. And Omar, you're a junior, you know what it's like out there to get to state. And the way he says you battled already, I know that you will continue to battle. With the teams of all that coaches, that you have 80 kids lifting weights, oh my gosh. That's awesome, because I remember it was just a few. I'm proud of all of you and the accomplishment that you've done, and you've done Floresville proud. And let's see the medals, girls.
They got the cool ones.
Oh, wow, they're huge. That's awesome.
Coach Martinez, come on in.
Well, I just go on my toes.
Oh, you're perfect.
Everyone thinks I'm talking.
1, 2. 1, 2.
Come on up here, parents, y'all.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Coach. Thanks, Grant.
Coach,
Congratulations. Thanks for your service. Thank you very much. Congratulations, sir. Congratulations.
Great job, Coach.
Next is our girls and boys basketball academic all-state. Coach Martinez, please lead it off, sir.
I'll ask our basketball kids to come up. Again, thank you for the opportunity to recognize some of our student athletes. Not only did they have incredible seasons this year, again, making historic runs and doing some phenomenal things, really excited and proud to watch them compete. Really sad to see our seniors go. They had fantastic careers with us, but not only do they exemplify what we stand for as a program on the court, but off the court as well, in the classroom. And I'll turn it over to their coaches to be able to talk a little bit more about them.
So I'm filling in for Coach Brooks this evening. Extremely honored and privileged, to speak about on Ryland's behalf. He's one of 3 seniors on the team, one of our senior captains on the team. I want to thank his family members that are here. They did so much work for our basketball team. Can't thank them enough. Just want to speak about, Ryland's toughness. One of the hardest workers that we have. For him to hurt his ankle February 4th against Divine and to come back February 18th against Lavernia was very huge. I'm not very sure how many people know this, but he was actually 1 point shy of 1,000 points whenever he got injured. So he was on the verge of actually not making that accomplishment, but just to go speak about his toughness and his character and who he is on the daily and how he carries himself. He worked very hard every day, sometimes twice a day, seeing our training staff and really trying to get himself prepared to give him a shot at his 1,000 points and not let down his teammates. That's truly who Ryland is. And he was able to return. He was able to hit his 1,000th point. He was able to win a bi-district championship. He was able to win an area championship. We fell short in the 3rd round against La Feria, but it's an honor. It's an honor to have him up here. He's a first-team academic all-district. He's also been nominated to the San Antonio Area Association of Basketball Coaches All-Star Game at Our Lady of the Lake University this Sunday, April 13th at 4 p.m. So it's just my honor and my privilege to present Ryland for making the all-region team of the Texas Association of Basketball Coaches.
Good evening, school board, Coach Martinez, community members. We talk about the students a lot, but we really don't emphasize student athletes. And not only, or not that we don't emphasize, but we don't recognize it enough. The accomplishments these students have in the classroom. And I am so honored today to talk about 2 young ladies here that are academic all-state members. So not only are they doing it in the classroom, they're doing it, or on the court, they're doing it in the classroom as well. I want to talk a little bit about each one of them. First, Skylar. When I got hired here 3 years ago, of course, they were sophomores. And I remember just being we talked about the weight room, being in the weight room, and I see this young lady just going all out, just working hard. And I'm like, "Do you play basketball?" And she said, "No." I said, "Okay, well, we got to get you out there." So then here comes the next year, the junior. hey, Sky, you ready to play basketball this year? Because again, her work ethic and whatnot just intrigued me. And she was like, no. Okay. So I finally got in touch with her dad. And I said, look, we got to get her on the court. He said, I'd love to see it. So thanks to, to her family and whatnot, we got her on the court this year. And one of the things that people don't understand, stuff that doesn't show up in the stats, stuff that doesn't get mentioned in the news, stuff that doesn't get mentioned out loud, is she was the glue to our team. She didn't play a lot, but she was the person that led all the cheers. She's the person that would go hard in practice regardless. She's the person that when things were going down, she's the one picking everybody up. She is the definition of a team player. And that's the kind of stuff that just doesn't get promoted enough. We hear about the accolades, but we don't hear about the glue people. And Skylar is definitely the glue. So her new nickname is Elmer. She used to be Skylar Rock, but now her nickname is Elmer. I wanted to say that in front of everybody. So one, thank you very much, Sky, for holding this team together and showing us what it's like to be a student athlete. Next, I'd like to talk about Jordan Johns. I've told everybody that asks me, when I got hired here 3 years ago, I was blessed to inherit some great players and some great kids, awesome families. And I remember, I'm getting long-winded, I know, I'm sorry, but I remember I was at John Jay High School, and we were in the same summer league at Floresville. And it hadn't been mentioned that I was going to be the head coach at Floresville. So I was there at the game with my J kids, and I'm like, man, these kids have some talent. And so in the back of my mind, my assistant was with me, and he said, man, you've got a gym there in Floresville. So then, I see Jordan. Well, one, I thought she was a twin. So if you all know her sister, Gia, they look almost exactly alike. So I thought I was getting twins. Well, then Gia graduated last year, and then Jordan continued just leading. Yes, she's academic all-state, but she's also been district MVP. She's been an offensive player of the year. She's been a two-time TABC All-Region. She will also be playing in the San Antonio Area Association of Basketball Coaches All-Star Game on Sunday at Our Lady Lake at 2 o'clock. She is definitely the head of our snake. And she took us everywhere we were going to go. And, it's funny, I was talking to her just today. And, I asked her, I said, what did you think of your high school career? And, she talked about how much she learned. Again, it goes beyond just putting the ball in the basket. And she talked about the extra time that she spent with all of her team, or with her team in the summers and whatnot. And, it makes you feel good as an educator, as a teacher, as a coach, when you hear your kids feel like they have been successful. Not that we're telling them they're successful, but when they say, I feel like I've been successful. That really adds to why we do this. I really didn't know if I wanted to say this. I spoke with Coach Martinez the other day, and I really felt this year was going to be was going to be the year that we made it, at least to the regional final. Like I was willing to bet a paycheck on it. I'm glad I did. And I remember telling Jordan her sophomore year, or at the end of the sophomore year, I said, by the time you're a senior, we're going to have a chance to go to state. And unfortunately, it didn't happen. And I told Coach Martinez, I kind of felt like I let her down. But it's not about me, it's about, how she feels that her career went. And I want to congratulate you, Jordan, on your academic All-State and all your other accolades as well. And I know you're going to do well at the next level. So speaking of that, got a call from a coach today. They talked about how great of a person she was. They got to see her on Sunday. I think it was Sunday. Was it Sunday? They got to see her on Sunday. They said that, she's the kind of kid that we need in our program. She meshed well with all the players, and I don't know. She said she was going to call Jordan later today. I don't know what that conversation was about, but that just shows a lot about her character, and I was really blessed to have a young lady like this. So thanks again, Jordan, and congratulations.
I just want to say real quick, Rylan, way to keep grinding, man. Hurt yourself, keep pushing. Not only doing that on the court, but off the court, the classroom. That's a life lesson, right? Times are going to get hard. Keep that grind, keep that motivation, and keep pushing. Super proud of you, all your accolades. First team all academic, all region Texas basketball. Congratulations. I know this board, we're really proud of you.
Thank you.
Sky, same thing, academics, work ethic, team player. People need that motivation, right? Whether you're in it and being the motivator, whether you're out of being the motivator, keep staying positive, okay? Be that glue that everybody needs. That's a good trait to have, and not a lot of people have it. So congratulations. Jordan, same thing, ton of accolades. District MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, all region basketball, district MVP, and your academics. I know you're doing it on and off the court. Not only that, I've seen you work with the youth, refereeing games, coaching youth basketball players, so I've seen you do a lot. Now, we're really proud of y'all, so congrats.
You see Ms. Reed?
Yes. One, two. One, two.
Sorry about that ankle.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. What a new day.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
so much.
Congratulations.
Great job.
Yes, sir. Scott.
Ms. Petrie, do we have any public comments? Thank you, ma'am. We will now continue with our reports and updates with the superintendent report by Dr. Gilstrap.
Yes, board members. We continue to push out information regarding our upcoming bond election on May the 3rd. Thus far, we've held 2 community informational meetings, one at the middle school and one at North Elementary. And we've also presented to multiple organizations and small groups with the purpose of educating our community about the election, projects that will be addressed through the funds and proceeds, the impact of the tax rate on the local taxpayers, as well as voting information. The deadline has already passed to register to vote, so if you haven't done so, it's too late for that. But it's not too late for those that are registered to get educated and make sure you make a plan to go and vote. We want to make sure everyone has that information. This is your opportunity as a community to provide guidance to the district and to the board on how we will move forward. Early voting is Tuesday, April the 22nd through Tuesday, April the 29th. I know on the first day and the last day, early voting is from 7 to 7. All the other days, it's from 7 to 5. And all the voting will take place at the Wilson County Election Office. Just a reminder too, to those that vote in the city election, the city is having a separate election. I believe their voting is at City Hall. So you'll have to make 2 stops whenever you get ready to go and vote, just to remind people to do that. Just a reminder that the regular May meeting will be held on Monday, May the 12th. This is in order for us to canvass the election results without having a special meeting. We're just going to push the regular meeting back by 1 week. I need to make sure. 6:30. Yeah, 6:30. I'll put 6 o'clock on there. The Finance Committee will be meeting this Friday with board members to receive an update on the current budget, as well as continue to work on the fiscal year 26 budget. The legislature in Austin continues to do their work with high hopes of increasing public education funding. However, we don't have any details on amounts or how we will receive those funds, so remains to be seen. I do want to thank Ms. Engel and her department, the business office. They are in the process of creating multiple scenarios, multiple budgets, because we don't know which one is going to be approved by the state. Therefore, we don't know what we're going to be able to spend as a district as well. Ultimately, we are a July 1 fiscal year, so we have to have a budget adopted by June 30th. So we will be planning to meet that deadline. I've included the superintendent evaluation packet at each of your spots. If you have any questions, please let me know. As we have in the past, please complete the packet and return it to Mr. Shadrach or Alyssa in the sealed envelope by Friday, April the 25th. The evaluation will be a part of the regular May agenda, so we'll be able to do that in May. Also provided at your spot is a list of upcoming campus and district events. We've done this in the past for the month of April and May. There's just too many events coming up, too many to name without forgetting something. So we want to make sure you as a board stay informed of everything that's going on. Our student performances and recognition banquets are a time of celebration this time of year. The board is encouraged to attend as many events as possible, but you are cordially invited to attend the events listed in blue. A lot of those require an RSVP. They may be serving a meal at a banquet or something like that. So please let me or Alyssa know if you plan to attend one of those particular events so we can make sure arrangements are made. The TASB SLI, which is the Summer Leadership Institute, is scheduled for June the 12th through the 13th. This is an opportunity for board members to receive their required continuing education hours. It's an opportunity to knock them all out at one time over a 2-day period. It'll be in San Antonio, so please let Alyssa know if you're going to be able to attend. Registration is not yet open, but as soon as it opens, she'll complete all the registrations for those that are going to be able to go. Again, it's a great opportunity to get your continuing education hours and knocked out, as well as doing it as a group, as a board. Per policy DC local, beginning April the 1st through August the 31st, the board delegates to the superintendent the authority to employ contract personnel. So we are within that timeline. An employment update has been provided in the superintendent report to keep the board informed about contract personnel that's been offered contracts thus far. This month's update includes recommendations from principals for returning teachers and contracts for a few other new hires that we're already starting to fill some positions for next year. I will say this, I believe it was South Elementary had some candidates that we're already offering contracts to for openings next school year. Several of them are making comments about the calendar. They're making some positive comments about the district itself. So we're already starting to see some of the benefits of that. And in the recommendations that's provided, you'll see that there are contracts that are offered, and there are no non-contract teaching positions that we're offering right now. So because once again, we're getting some quality certified applicants. So thank you and thank our community for that. No board action is required since this is within the timeline for the 25-26 school year. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns about any of these recommendations. Lastly, the weekly enrollment and attendance information. We provide the weekly information in the weekly board brief. But just to give you some year-to-date attendance numbers, we are currently at 93.26% As typical this time of year, that starts to go down a little bit and until we get into testing season. So hopefully the next few weeks our students will be back and making sure they're here for state testing. Current enrollment is 4,014. Again, the list of events for April and May is too numerous to list. You've got that in front of you. But I do want to highlight a couple of things. Our third community meeting is going to be Tuesday, April the 15th, back at the middle school at 6 o'clock. So we'd love to see people there again to provide and get some information on our bond election. The district will be closed for Good Friday on the 18th, and we have a student holiday staff development on the 21st. Again, early voting is April 22nd through the 29th. Our Dream Makers Banquet, which is one of those upcoming events that requires an RSVP. So if you're able to attend that on Monday, the 28th, we would love to have our board members there. And then ultimately, Election Day will be Saturday, May the 3rd. So make sure you make plans to go and vote. Are there any questions?
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Gilstrap. Our next report is the District Improvement Plan, formative review by Dr. Wade.
Good evening, President Shadrach, Dr. Gilstrap, and board members. Tonight, I will provide an update of the status of our strategies in the District Improvement Plan as of March of this year. As a reminder, you are well aware of the goals of our strategic plan, which are the goals of the district, and the performance objectives are also the performance objectives of our district improvement plan. So as we review our district improvement plan every quarter, we are also reviewing our district strategic plan. This helps us focus on just one plan. So our first goal is excellent student outcomes. For this goal, there are 4 objectives and 18 strategies, and so far, we have accomplished 1 strategy and made considerable progress on 14. Some highlights for this goal is we have had 2 positive drug results from 75 drug screenings, and our discipline referrals are down from last year. And I'll share that data here in just a moment. We are also providing the required reading academies for elementary in-house with Ms. Olivia Bailey as a certified cohort leader, and that group has completed 9 of the 10 required trainings. And most of our unit assessments and our middle of year math and reading screeners are above the baseline or the goal from last year. We've implemented a focus plan to improve college, career, military readiness, and I indicated some information in the board brief last week, and we are currently above 80% for our 2025 graduates. We have also continued to focus on our Floresville ISD learning experience model, and we provide professional learning on that on every PD day, and it provided a monthly newsletter for staff to help with implementation. The board approved the spending of money last month for student devices, and so that will help with innovative and personalized learning. And finally, the teachers who are on an English as a second language waiver at the high school received training this quarter to help them pass their ESL test. So hopefully they can get certified before next year. And then finally, we finalized our memorandums of understanding with St. Philip's College to have our early college high school begin next year. So here is some of the data for the goal 1. The items that are highlighted in green indicate an improvement from either the baseline from last year or the goal, either one. Because an improvement from last year is an improvement. The things that are highlighted in yellow indicate we've got a couple of different pieces of data, and some are above the goal and some are below. And then the items in pink are below our goal or baseline. Our discipline referrals are down to 2,149 compared to 2,678 for the same time period last year. Our student attendance is a little above our baseline. Dr. Gilstrap just gave you a more updated number, but as of March when we were looking, it was 93.35, which is almost at the goal of 94%. And while student engagement dropped to 59% from the walkthrough, it has increased 9% from last quarter. We've been focusing with our student achievement results on the meets level performance instead of approaches. So that's why you see on here, all of these say meets level. So you know there's 3 levels of performance: approaches, meets, and masters. But meets means they're on grade level. So we have seen an increase in the meets performance for reading in grades 3 through 8 in our unit assessments and the interim assessments. However, the data is a little bit mixed for math and English 1 and 2. Our unit assessments are above the baseline, but the interim assessments are below. So that means we need to do some alignment with our assessments internally. And as of the Algebra 1 assessments are above the baseline at a goal of 61. And just note there's not 2 pieces of data there because the interim assessment was not completed by the time we did this review. Goal 2 is superior workplace environment. Superior workplace environment. This goal has 3 objectives and 6 strategies, of which we've made considerable progress on 5. Highlights this year are that our first year Teacher Academy sessions have been held for every campus, and we've been, instead of having just one big meeting, we're holding it on each campus to support our new to the profession teachers. We are excited that there have been 0 findings in the intruder detection audits that have been conducted. And finally, we have provided multiple opportunities for staff input with the We're Listening sessions that Dr. Gilstrap and Mr. Scholler and I attend on each campus. And we've had multiple surveys for staff to provide input. Here's one of the pieces of data we look at is teacher attendance, which is at 93.1% last year, which is a little bit below our goal of 96. Goal 3 is exceptional customer service and community engagement. There are 3 objectives and 5 strategies for this goal, and we've had considerable progress in 4. Highlights include completion of the course catalogs for both the high school and the middle school, and that document provides valuable information for our families as they're choosing courses for the next school year. Our website engagement also continues to be above baseline, and we hosted a Dangerous Teen Trends for Parents presentation this quarter. And then finally, our CTE courses have had a variety of guest speakers from the community during the same time period. Here are some of the data points for Goal 3. Our student attendance, as we mentioned, is 93.95, and our average website engagement is above our baseline at 25,514. Goal 4 is strategic resource management. This goal has 4 objectives and 6 strategies, and we've made considerable progress on 4 and some on the remaining 2. Highlights for this goal include all of the required financial data has been posted on our website, and you called a bond election last meeting in February, which relates to our strategic systematic facility management and planning for growth. One piece of data we looked at Goal 4 is the completion of maintenance work orders, and their completion rate as of the 3rd quarter was 98.69%. This concludes the 3rd formative review. In July or August, we will provide the summative review of the district improvement plan. I won't be here. You're going to miss me when I'm gone. Are there any questions?
So what you were saying on Goal 1 for the excellent student outcomes, when we talked about the goal in quarter 1 and quarter 2, so the first numbers, because you got 2 percentages in boxes.
Right, so the first number is our unit assessments, those things that we just create in-house.
Okay.
And the second number is a TEA interim assessment. We're not quite sure if it's aligned as a great predictor to the STAR EOC test, but it's an indicator and a free assessment that we are able to provide. So we still look at the data and make decisions and address student needs from that data as well.
So it's just another tool. We're hoping it aligns with the official STAR team.
Well, sometimes we hope it does.
We're going to find out. You're not going to tell us, but we're going to find out in July and August.
Yeah, we also have some of the other data in the previous quarters are our internal screeners. So at the beginning of the year, let's see, in quarter 1, you see a couple of different numbers for RLA and math, and those were our screener numbers as well as our unit assessment. So we're just looking at lots of different data points and making some decisions how to address that. Principals can attest. I meet with them every time a new data point comes out. As we review the data, and I say, what's the action plan? What are we doing? And how can we support? So.
And that algebra number, we're 28% of the baseline, and we're at.
So if you'll recall, or I don't know if I said this the last quarter or not, but this past fall, we had almost all of our algebra students enrolled in algebra in the fall. I think we have 60, 30 right now, Mr. Barrett?
A little over 30.
A little over 30. So that number of 61% is only 30 kids.
So we'll say that we use multiple different screeners, assessments throughout the year. And for some of them, this screener is a predictor.
Yeah.
The best one for this other content grade level, it's this one. And so we're trying to always look at multiple data points.
Any other questions?
So next, we will have our teacher incentive allotment report also by Dr. Wade.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The district has been engaging in the development of our teacher incentive allotment application, which is due on April the 15th. And tonight, Jessica Stonish and I are going to provide an overview of TIA, just to make sure you're aware of that, and then some more details about the status of our plan. And we'll start with Ms. Stonish.
Thank you. Mr. Shylock and Board Trustees. So we're going to talk about the teacher incentive allotment. Okay. So the teacher incentive allotment is the state's plan in order to, they use the Texas Education Agency, TEA, to provide funding to help districts and to incentivize teachers to work in difficult to teach areas, and also, getting used to the clicker, and as well as to retain the very best teachers. TIA provides opportunities for teachers to be recognized at 3 different levels. The 3 distinction areas are recognized, masters, and exemplary. Depending on the designation area, the teachers can be awarded up to $32,000. However, as Dr. Wade is going to explain in a future slide, the max for Floresville ISD is $17,000 per teacher at the very maximum level. The formula provides funding for economically disadvantaged campuses, and rural campuses receive more funding because the purpose of the program is to attract people to want to teach at those campuses. A designation is achieved and the money is sent to the district, and 90% of that money that we would receive has to go to the teacher. Once that teacher receives a designation, it actually goes on their teacher certificate and it stays on there for 5 years. So no matter what happens in that 5 years, even if they leave Floresville ISD, that designation goes with them to the next district. So every teacher has the potential to be a designated teacher, but it's the job of the district to develop a plan, which is what we've been doing, and decide which teaching assignment areas will be eligible using the feedback that we've received from the various stakeholders that we've had meetings with. To be a designated teacher, you have to be employed by the district this year, and also the following year, which is our data collection year, as well as the next year, which would be our award year. The criteria includes 2 different levels, 2 different things. We look at the teacher observations and also student growth. Teachers, the plan can also include different things like teacher attendance, mentorship, leadership opportunities, and that's at the district's, if the district would like to include those factors, they're not a requirement. The 2 requirements are the student growth factor and teacher observations, the performance on their evaluation. So district may incorporate optional components as well. I'm sorry, I'm not, this clicker's not cooperating. The student growth measure is being used so that it provides just a fair look, and they're not judging students on how they've done in the past or how the teacher has done in the past. It's only looking at that one snapshot year of how the teacher performs and how the student performs from day one to the day that their data is collected in that given school year. An important component of that TIA application is how our plan aligns with our district mission and vision statement. So you'll see as goal 1, 2, and 4, academic growth, staff engagement, and satisfaction. We're hoping with extra additional funds that will increase staff satisfaction. And goal 4, strategic and transparent allocation of resources. These funds are being made available by the state and through TEA, and so we as a district need to take advantage and be able to pass those down to our teachers. Also, to be competitive with other districts, many of the districts surrounding us are getting into the TIA application system this year as well, along with us. So to stay competitive, we need to take advantage of those funds as well. So the timeline, the district application is due April 15th, so it's real close. We're almost about to turn it in. In August, we'll be notified if our application has been accepted, and we are working with Region 20 through their technical assistance program to ensure that we have all the components of the application before we submit it. So next year, 25-26, will be our data capture year, where the teacher evaluations and student information is actually submitted. And in October 2026, the data is submitted to Texas Tech University for validation. Hopefully, in April of 2027, we will actually receive notice if we have any designated teachers. So that's just to take note that it will be at least 2 years before we receive any designated teacher funds to be able to distribute. So there are 3 decisions that go into our plan. Who are the eligible teachers who can earn a designation? What are we going to use to designate them? And how are we going to distribute those funds once we receive them? So the 2 big areas are teacher observations, which we already have our T-test tool in place for teacher evaluation, so check mark on that, and student performance. So we have to use a measurable tool such as STAR to have the growth measure for our students. So you would think we have both of those in place, we're good to go. However, it's called the Texas 2-step process. So first you have to be validated by the agency, and second, Texas Tech will also perform a data validation of our system. So in order to show that our data is calibrated. So if our teacher evaluations are up here, but our student growth measure is right here, that's not going to work. They want it to be here. The goal, of course, is better teachers in the classroom, has better performing students. So that would be, we would qualify in the data validation area if those 2 things are aligned.
And there have been districts that got
Yes, they have been not validated either by small errors in their coding or just by that calibration not being there. So that's what we're going to work for. We're going to start training this summer and continue it into next year. So districts set the local cut points for each level of designation, and these will be determined during our data capture year. But these are some statistics just from the state of all the TIA eligible designated teachers currently in the state of Texas. As you can see, the top 33% of those TIA schools, the teachers are recognized. Top 20% exemplary, and only 5% of teachers in the state of Texas that are in a TIA school right now have earned that exemplary designation. And as you can see, the correlation, the top 33% right now would mean just an average of what the data is showing, a 74% of possible points on their evaluation, and then that would calibrate to 55% of students had met or exceeded the growth measure on their whatever tool the district had selected for that given year. Turn it over to Dr. Lee.
So both of those criteria, both the observation performance of the teacher and the student growth, both of those must be a
Included.
yes or
Included in the
exceed.
rubric.
Okay.
Yes, they both have to be in line.
Yeah.
So that's kind of an overview of the system. So I want to talk a little bit about funding. So TIA funding is based on the designation level, the recognized master exemplary, the socioeconomic status of the campus where the teacher works, and then whether the campus is a rural status as determined by TEA. So we don't make any of those determinations. So what I'm showing you up here is the average allotments in 23-24 for FISD, if we were to have had any teachers that year, range from about 4,400 for a recognized teacher up to about 16, almost 17,000 for a master designation. However, as I said, the individual campuses have different amounts. So even though the recognized level in the state is from $3,000 to $9,000, in FISD, our range is between $3,900 and about $5,800, depending on the campus. The state average for exemplary is between $6,000 and $18,000, but in FISD, our range is between almost $8,000 to a little bit above $11,000. And the master's level at the state level is between $12,000 and $32,000, but in FISD, it is between about $15,000 to a little over $21,000. Again, those differences in each of those campuses are depending on the socioeconomic status of the students enrolled, as well as whether TEA determines that that campus is rural. So for example, every campus in the Floresville city limits is not considered rural. However, North Elementary, being outside of the city limits, is considered rural. So they get a little added bonus because they're in a rural district. We have asked for them to go to TEA to counter that decision, but there you go. But of the amount that we receive, 90% of the funds must be passed along to teachers on the campus where the designation was earned. The district may keep 10% to support the implementation. That 90%, and hopefully you can see all that, what's in green is what can be spent, what's down below in pink is what you cannot spend it in, so I'll just take a few highlights. The 90% can be used for stipends for the designated teachers and other teachers on that campus, and then the 10% can be used by the district for professional development, purchasing assessments for TIA, and central office support specifically for TIA. There is, if you think about it, if a teacher's going to get more money, there's going to be an increased cost for benefits and TRS contributions on the part of the district. So we can use either the 90 or the 10% to help offset that cost. We cannot use the 90%, that's what's down here in the bottom, for school leadership stipends or staff at other campuses. And the 10% over here cannot be used for general administrative cost or for any type of recruitment effort. So there are some do's and don'ts about how we can spend the money. The majority, 90%, has to go to teachers. So TIA also requires that we do a teacher buy-in survey after our application is accepted, and then there is an annual TIA survey every year. In fact, there's an annual application every year in April. So what has FISD done to get information from our stakeholders about our application? As Ms. Stonish said, we've been using Region 20 Service Center to assist us as a technical provider, and they held face-to-face sessions on every campus in February to provide information to our teachers about TIA and to ask teachers to complete a survey. We also provided 2 virtual sessions just in case they couldn't be there on the date that they were there in person. So, of the responses to the survey, 88% of the teachers who responded said that we should participate in TIA. Okay, so we asked for people from those sessions to volunteer to be on a TIA planning committee. And so we had representatives from every campus, as well as some campus leadership and a couple of district leadership staff members, and met in March twice. And their task was to provide input on these 4 areas. What's the student growth measure we should be using? Who should we be designating as a teacher? What should our phase-in plan be? How many observations and walkthroughs should our assistant principals and principals perform? How should we spend the money, and what should be the weights on this rubric? Because we can decide what percentage of the calculation goes to the student growth measure and how much goes to the teacher evaluation. So we were coached by Region 20 to develop a phase-in plan. And in fact, there are only 5 districts in Region 20 that have designated teachers for every category in the district. Ms. Joseph from Region 20 has told us that there are some districts that have been participating for 5+ years and still have not increased the number of designations. So we were told to phase in. So our original plan was this: to begin with those STAR-tested grades beginning in 4th grade. That STAR automatically calculates a student growth measure. If they took the test in 3rd grade, then in 4th grade it'll calculate a growth measure. Those are valid and reliable according to the state, so they say you can use that instrument. Okay, because if we don't have an instrument, we don't want to try to, there's a growth curve in implementing any type of new assessment. So that was our plan. And then we were going to try to phase in the 2nd year the other tested subjects and other core areas, hoping to find an assessment. We have to find some or write some, purchase some, and then try to get all teachers with the electives the 3rd year. Now you remember Ms. Stonish said, once we designate teachers, how long does it take for us to get the money for them? 2 years. So if we're taking 3 years, and every year it's a 2-year, those teachers in the last category, it's going to be a while. So as you can anticipate, the teachers were wanting to be moved up in the phase-in plan. So after reviewing their input, we amended our plan to include in the 1st year, I don't know if you can see it, they're in yellow, what we added after their input. Kindergarten and 1st grade are going to be using M-Class, which is a screener we currently use. One of those data points, Mr. Shadrock, but it's not on that data chart I gave you because I'm looking at STAR-tested grades, but we want to make sure kids are reading. And then for 2nd grade, we will be using STAR Renaissance, which is also a reading screener we use for 2nd grade. So those teachers are used to those assessments, right? It's not anything we're not doing. For the other tested subjects like 5th and 8th grade science, 8th grade social studies, U.S. history, biology, we're going to administer a release STAR test to those students at the beginning of the year, and then the district will calculate a growth measure when they take the end of year actual STAR EOC test. So we're still going to use the STAR test, it's just going to be a released one. We also planned to move up the remaining teachers in the 2nd year of implementation, hoping that we can find a valid and reliable assessment measure for each of those. I will tell you there are all kinds of companies coming out with assessments for us to purchase in order to be able to do that, but that costs money. So the other part we got some input for them is on the teacher observation and walkthrough plan. So we settled on 1 scored observation, which is what we currently do, and 4 walkthroughs by multiple appraisals. We are also, as Ms. Stonish said, going to provide some calibration for our administrators on those scoring of the T-test rubric this summer. Now, as you heard, we can take that 90% and give it to any teacher on the campus, but our plan is to give it to the designated teacher who earned that designation. And then the district will take the 10% that we are allotted to keep for professional development, increased benefit cost, maybe purchasing assessments, just some of those other things. So here's where we settled on the weights. We must include the teacher evaluation domain in 2, which is instruction and the learning environment. And so we settled on 40% of the rubric accounting for that. Student performance or the student growth measure, whichever one we're using for each of those grade levels, will be 50%. And then we added domain 4, which is professional practices of the T-test evaluation system, which encompasses things like attendance and ethics and professional development that would be accounted for 10%. A lot of districts around us that I talk to are using attendance as that 10%, but the committee felt like, how is that fair if there's extenuating circumstances for a teacher? But all of that could be reflected within the evaluation system. So that's where we settled. So those are the components of our plan at this point. I'll be glad to answer any questions, or Ms. Thomas, if there's something that she needs to answer. That's a lot, I'm sorry.
The state is doing it, so a lot of stuff, we're tied into what the state says.
Yeah, if we want to participate, we jump through the hoop the district or the state has set.
So the funding for it,
Comes from the legislature, and we've been assured that the legislature will continue to fund it. The question has been asked, like, are they going to keep funding this because it's a separate item in the budget? They've been told yes. Okay.
It benefits our teachers.
Yeah.
Is there a way we can get that whole slide sent to us?
Yes, I just told Ms. Petrie that I'll upload that in the board book that she sent it out to you. Yeah,
So of your survey, I think it was like 117 people could complete the survey.
Right.
Did they know based upon the rural metrics and all that?
Yes, like we did a
Because if they saw
presentation.
it's up to 32, they said, yeah, sign me up. But
Yeah.
once you do the calculation, we max out at what, 17, 18?
No, there's no max. If it is the district will set the indicator. If 55% student growth, if you've got 55% student growth, you've met the measure on the observation, and you come in at this level, you are designated regardless of how many people are designated.
No, I guess what I mean is when you went through that based upon if our campus is a rural campus,
Oh,
and
yes.
socioeconomic.
Yes.
So if a teacher thought the max they could qualify.
Right,
At the master's level was a 32, but in reality, Floresville's gonna max out at 21
yeah,
at the very max.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we did share them, like we showed, there is you can go on the website, it's called the TIA funding map.
Okay.
You can go there and look up your specific campus. I will tell you, the principals have also looked at this, so they know
Okay.
who they're competing against.
And then again, once that teacher gets that certification, and then the Rubik's, if they don't make it 1 year, the next year. they're
Absolutely.
eligible The second year, third year.
And
So-
it's good for 5 years.
Okay.
So once I make it, let's say I become recognized the first year. I'm recognized for 5 years. The next year, let's say I went and I've gone up to masters. Well, then I'm mastered from that point for 5 years. So I've got the 5 years regardless, but I could go up. Don't go down, but I could go up. Does that help?
It does.
Okay. Other questions? Mr. Mears, I apologize. Last night when I was reviewing, I'm like, I need to give you a few more pieces of data. So I updated the slides.
Yeah, there's quite a few missing out of there. So
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah, sure thing.
it is a great opportunity. Most importantly, it's good for our staff, but it's gonna close gaps. And that's what the target for this is for us to make sure our students are getting the gains, the growth that they need. And in all areas, I don't wanna try to set aside any of them. And whenever we had the conversations about who's included in the first year, there were some teachers that, maybe they're elective teachers, they're like, why am I not in this? Well, part of it is, we gotta make sure our kids are reading and writing and doing math, and we talk about STAR scores and accountability and all that. Well, that's great if they're over here and this teacher knocks it out, but I need that teacher to come over here and do it to make sure we're getting things done in the classroom and across the board. So that is something we always have to make sure we're thinking about.
So I'm just gonna point this out. Incentivize teachers to work in difficult to staff positions. And I can say this probably with assurity, especially on the elementary. Do I want to teach kindergarten, first grade or second grade, or do I want to teach third, fourth, and fifth grade where there's a STAR test? Because it's just more pressure. So I just want to point that out. That's one of the reasons for TIA is to help incentivize teachers to teach in those hard to teach.
And it also attracts teachers to rural areas.
Yeah.
Where they struggle to find good teachers.
And the TIA program, I mean, this is something that's been funded and it's working. It's just, we're gonna get signed up for it.
Correct.
Right.
There have been some changes in it since we looked at it when it first came out, right? And we just kept kicking it because there were some challenges to it.
COVID came out about the time it rolled out as well.
No.
So it's a good thing.
Yeah, I would think because it's tied to performance, you want to be very methodical on how you set the expectations and be very clear with it.
It'll also be, it's more difficult than what you think.
Oh, I
So
can
te-
imagine that.
Teachers are gonna figure that out, real quick as well. And our administrators are gonna have, not only additional walkthrough, because, right now we have, is it every 2 years or every 3 years that a teacher gets an appraisal. As long as they meet a certain level, they can skip a year. Well, now they're gonna have to do it every year, along with all the walkthroughs that administrators are gonna have to do. And there'll be some other debates coming from staff as well about, well, that kid and this kid, and I want this kid in my class and that kid.
Yeah.
So our administrators are in for a little work as well.
I calculated if we looked at the current walkthroughs that we've done through the end of March and how much we'll have to do next year, it's double what we've done so far. So it's going to be an increased workload on our administrators.
And then stay calibrated.
And
That's
then
the other
stay
thing.
calibrated, yeah.
If you've got a teacher that's
Yeah.
knocking it out of the park on their evaluation and their students aren't getting growth, there's gonna be some tough conversations.
We also can, like I said, there's an application every year. We can amend our plan every year. We can say, oh, we're gonna use this instrument, we're gonna change the percentages. Like as we go through the first year, it's somewhat of a pilot to say, did this work? And then what adjustments can we make the following year?
Thank you, Dr. Wade.
All right, thank you.
Next on the agenda is item number 5, action item. First action is the consent agenda by Dr. Gilstrap.
Yes, board members, typical consent agenda, we do have 3 additional items that have been included. One is our renewal for our retainer with Walsh, Gallegos, Trevino, and Russell and Kyle as our attorney, retainer attorney. That is a $1,000 agreement, and we are required by policy to have a retainer legal counsel. So that is in there for the next year. Also an amendment to our current food service contract. This is the last year of the amendment. Again, the only thing that's changed in there is the dates. We still have the assurance, the guarantee of $158,180 in return for that, with a target surplus of over $300,000. So nothing has changed there. We've also had a donation that the board needs to approve for $1,500. That is from JR Site Work, and that is to the girls soccer program. So we want to thank JR Site Work for their donation, and best of luck to our girls program. Thanks for supporting. If there are no questions, administration recommends the board approve the consent agenda as presented.
On that food contract, that's the one that ends next year in June.
Correct. We will be rebidding this out in the fall whenever it's released from the Texas Department of Agriculture. They'll release the RFP, and we'll start that process.
So we do December, beginning
Due
of
in
December.
December.
So this part isn't the negotiation part?
No,
This is the 4th amendment of this contract.
Okay.
So the 4th and last, so the 5th year.
I have a motion from Dr. Gilstrap to accept the.
I don't have a motion. I didn't make a motion.
I move to accept the
Recommendation.
administration's recommendation.
I second.
So we have a motion by Mr. Moots for the recommendation. I have a second by Ms. Bonner Reed. Any further questions or discussions? All in those, please show a show of hands in favor. 4-0. No need to look to the right.
No need to look over here. They're all.
We will now consider the approval of the TASB Policy Update 124, also by Dr. Gilstrap.
Board members, the policy committee met earlier in March to review updates in policy 124. These cover about 6 different policies. We have fiscal management goals. This was an update to requirements for our investment pools and who manages those, as well as training for our designated person, which is Ms. Engel. And so she has to have certain additional trainings. Intellectual properties, policy CY local. This designates any intellectual property that a staff member develops while this really comes out with our AI technologies. If it's developed while they're under contract with us, then it becomes property of the district. There's also additional from student as well as employee Code of conducts regarding vapes and any type of device like that. They're really cleaning that up and making sure everything's covered in the updates to the law. And finally, FFG local has to do with reports of child abuse and neglect. That whenever a person does report, which administrators and teachers, professionals in education, we have a requirement to report, and we must now give our names and addresses, contact information when you report. You can no longer report anonymously. They do keep that information anonymous during the investigation, but they want to be able to know who reported so they can go back and get some additional information. Also, you can verbally report now. In the past, it's been a requirement by phone or through email, through submission, through their website, and so you can now do that verbally. If there's no questions, administration recommends the board approve additions, revisions, and deletions of local policies as recommended by TASB Policy Update 124 as presented.
I'll move to accept administration's recommendation.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion by Mr. Fleer and a second by Mr. Moots. Any further questions or discussion? All right, show of hands in favor. Okay, 4-0. Next, we'll consider the approval of the TEA 2025 to 2026 application for staff development minutes waiver by Dr. Wade.
Good evening again. The staff development minutes waiver provides the opportunity of a maximum of 2,100 minute waivers to be included for professional development in place of student instruction. The district does not currently need the 2,100 minutes waiver to meet the 75,600 minutes. We're currently at our calendar for next year, 77,080. However, the waiver could provide additional minutes should the district need them due to unexpected events such as weather. I will say this, the TA has stated that districts with a 4-day calendar will not be eligible for a professional development waiver. However, they have failed to define what is a 4-day calendar. And since we have a 4-day hybrid calendar, there's a possibility we might qualify for a waiver. And so, if so, we have up to 4 days that could be added to our 3.5 bank days that we currently have on next year's calendar. So we would like the opportunity to apply for the waiver just in case. Are there any questions? If not, administration recommends the board approve the initiation of the application for the 2025-2026 staff development minutes waiver.
I'll make a motion to accept that.
I second.
We have a motion by myself, Stephen Shadrock, and a second by Ms. Bonner Reed. Any further discussions or questions? All in favor, show of hands, in favor. 4-0. Now we will consider the approval of the instructional materials allotment and the TEAC certification. Also, Dr. Wade.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
You're going to miss me when I'm gone. The instructional materials allotment and TEAC certification is required by TEA each year. The school board must certify that all the instructional materials that we have purchased have been used for their intended purposes and as allowed by law, which we have. And you're also certifying that the instructional materials we have will cover all of the standards for the curriculum and the grade levels next year. So in your board packet, I think it's a 24-page survey that TA now has that 5 years ago was 1 page. The certification form is included, which lists all the resources for each subject. Are there any questions?
Pretty heavy reading.
Ms. Jacob fills this out for us. She serves as our district instructional materials coordinator, and it is quite tedious. I'll just say that. Try to make sure we've got all the materials. So if there's no question, administration recommends the board approve the instructional materials allotment and TEAC certification as required by the Texas Education Agency.
I'll move to accept the administration's recommendation.
I second.
We have a motion from Mr. Fleer and a second by Ms. Bonner Reed. Any further discussions or questions? Show of hands in favor. 4-0.
Thank you.
The board will now convene into executive session pursuant to the Texas Governmental Code, Section 551.074, personnel, Section 551.076, and 551.089, security, and Section 551.072, real property. No voting will take place in closed session. Any action the board wishes to take as a result of the discussions in closed sessions will take place after the board reconvenes in the open meeting. We'll go into executive session at 7:57. All right, it is 8:50 and we are reconvening after executive session. We have no items from our executive session, so we now have concluded the agenda for this meeting. Is there any further business? Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned at 8:50.